Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is a little bit different to the last couple we've done. We're still going to be having a discussion or trying to open up a discussion. There's also going to be a little bit of me ranting in this one. Purely because today's topic is maps, and specifically like the map ban and the typical behavior of, well, at least what I determine as most Siege players currently. And the main thing is the fact that, so in this season Demon Vale, we had our first new map in I think like 3 years, like a full brand new map, not a rework, not a buff, you know, whatever you want to call it, a brand new map. First map in 3 years. Let's just round it to 3 years. And I've played a fair bit of ranked this season. Granted, the map did come in the mid-season reinforcement patch, but I have played it in ranked. I've played it once. It has popped up maybe 4 or 5 times, and it's always banned. Every single time, unless somebody forgets, or if we somehow pull the trick of, oh, we've got Emerald Plains, and then we just ban whatever the other one is. It's banned so often, and I don't get it. Like, why do people ban the new content? Same goes for the operators, but typically it happens more so with maps. And before anybody comes at me with the whole, I don't know it, so I don't want to play it. Shut up. It's a video game. Play the new content. At least don't have the nerve to complain we don't get any if you're going to insta-ban it. And, like, I mean, granted, I have some issues with the map pool for ranked as it is anyway, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. But, I mean, it's always the same few maps, because let's be honest, Emerald Plains gets banned all the time. Granted, Consulate is the one map I will ban consistently, I just don't like that map. Bank gets banned a fair bit. Canal gets banned a lot. Favela gets banned a lot of the time. Skyscraper gets banned a lot. Theme Park gets banned a lot. Outbank gets banned a lot. That leaves us with Oregon, Clubhouse, Chalet, Cafe, Border, Coastline, and Villa. That's what, like 7 maps out of, what's that, 15? And it's boring. I'm just gonna say, see, I love Siege, but playing the same 7 maps out of what is already a reduced map pool, because there are maps that just aren't in ranked because they're not deemed as competitive enough, and it gets boring, it gets stale, it gets repetitive, and I think that's one of the main things that at least it burns me out, and I'm sure it burns out other people when it comes to Siege. So, what is it? Is it people being lazy? They don't want to learn the new stuff, but they've got the audacity to bitch and moan about it when they, you know, when we don't get new stuff? Because if that's the case, then I'm very sad, because half the reason I was drawn to Siege, because I'm not the biggest fan of competitive shooters, like, I don't care for them for the most part, but I've always enjoyed Siege, and one of the main things was because of its complexity and the ability to learn how to completely kind of utilize maps, whether it's, you know, site setup, whether it's weird angles that you can outsmart people with, whether it's learning how gadgets interact with certain surfaces and certain kind of behavioral patterns of maps and stuff like that. And half of the fun for me was like, all right, let's learn the new map, let's try and come up with the next best way of holding the objectives. You know, working out which sites were the most viable, which ones you should avoid. You know, both from defense and attacking, like learning how to just break down the map and utilize it in your own way that allows you to win rounds. And people just don't want to do it, even on maps that we've had for years. People are too scared to change what they know. You know, it's always you reinforce this wall and that wall and this wall, and then you put a rotate here and you shotgun out some holes here so you can C4. Always the same stuff. And God forbid anybody tries to tweak something or mix things up, even just trying to go to a different objective. People throw hissy fits because they're like, oh, why are we not going to the meta objective? This one's better. Like, shut up. If you think you're better than the other team, you should be able to beat them on every single site. Regardless. Yes, it's going to be harder on some. Yes, there is a certain amount of RNG, and it also depends on what the other team brings, but you should be able to do it. This brings me to something else, though, as well, is there nothing else to play Siege for? Because, granted, I still play Siege because I want to learn stuff and because I want to improve, and I like the intricacies of it, and I like trying to outsmart my opponents because I know for a fact I'm not the best mechanical shooter. I have okay moments, but typically it relies on me trying to be able to outsmart my enemy more so than outgun them. Especially in a meta that is so prevalent at the minute, which is typically taking gunfights. Which, don't get me wrong, I like that. That's on me. You know, I can get better mechanically, and you know, there are some times where I can outsmart someone, and there's some times where I can't, and it's fine. That's how it goes. But for the standard Siege player who maybe doesn't care as much about that and just gets on because they like winning and they like that dopamine hit of when they win or if they pull off a cool clutch or whatever. Don't get me wrong, we all love that. That's great. That's the other half of the game that we all enjoy. But for those people that focus on that, is ranking up and winning the only thing that these people play for? Like, you could argue maybe finishing the battle pass if it's got stuff in it you like, but now that's 50-50 whether you're going to get that. So is that all we have? Granted, there is a lack of progression in Siege. I do think that's the case. But there are so many things, I think. So we are getting a rank 2.0 this year. They have stated that. I think it's meant to be coming around Season 3 this year. And it's going to be kind of over time. They're going to be changing how... I think there's going to be like an initial change, and then there might be some extra elements coming a little bit later down the line once they know that it's functioning properly. But at the minute, ranked, aside from new maps, if you get the chance to play them, and new characters, I feel it's boring. There's no, like, I don't get on Siege and go, oh, I really want to hit these challenges, or I really want to get 5 levels in the battle pass, or, you know, it's just, yeah, I'd like to rank up. Like, my ranked objective every season is I want to hit plat. That's all I care about. I don't care if I hit plat 3 or plat 1. Couldn't give a shit. I like having the plat charm. It's personally I think it's one of the better looking charms typically, and I've had plat charms for basically every season to the point where I just want to continue that. That's my thing. But I do think there needs to be something else. Personally, I would like to see the map ban system change. That's the main thing we're going to be talking about in this video. I would like to see some other tweaks just to how ranked plays. I personally don't think we should be able to see when we rank up, or like I don't want to see the points. Like, tell me what rank I am, sure, but I don't want to know how close I am to deranking or ranking up, because it makes those, one, it puts a lot of stress on those games if you care that much about ranked. If you're one game from ranking up, you're suddenly full sweaty tryhard mode, which there's nothing wrong with, but if you then lose that game, it's very easy to become tilted and salty and just fed up and complain about everything. And it's ridiculous. Take it back so we can't see, because originally I'm fairly certain you couldn't see when you leveled up. You saw your rank that you were, and if you rank up, it just miraculously happened at the end of a match that you win, and you're like, fuck yeah, I leveled up, let's keep going. That's a much more what's the word I'm looking for? Much more enjoyable process, and a much more fulfilling dopamine hit, if you want to argue it for that matter. You know, when you don't know and suddenly it's a thing and it's like, shit, yeah, you know, we did it and let's keep going, and it kind of keeps the ball rolling, as opposed to, oh, I'm 20 points away from plat 2. Oh, I've not been playing well today, maybe I should stop playing for tonight, or we'll play one more and if I lose I quit. Kind of, it's such a weird backwards thought process, in my opinion, over something that, again, in my opinion, doesn't matter. It just doesn't. The only reason I care about the ranks of the people I play with is whether we can actually play together or not, because of the weird MMR lock thing, which, to be honest, I don't like. Get rid of that. It's annoying. Going back to the map ban system, though, before I get too off topic. what do I think should be done? I think it should be completely changed. I've heard a couple of different ideas, both from people in the community and from other sources that I've been paying attention to. Some people want it gone completely, just go back to you get what you get and you play it. I don't think that really helps. I think there's some fun to have with the ban phase in terms of being able to more likely play maps you want to play. I think there's also data to be seen for the developers. You can see what maps aren't being played very often, because at least in a world where people are banning maps because they either genuinely don't like them, not just because they don't know it, or or whether there is a particular win-loss ratio on maps. I think that provides at least data for the devs. And as much as I don't mind kind of being given a map and being forced to play it, because then you have to, you then do learn maps more. Whether you like it or not, you have to learn them. And then personally, I think that's a more accurate way of developing skill and becoming better, or at least proving that you are, let's hypothetically say that rank matters in any way, shape, or form. You could be plat on Border, Chalet, and Villa, but you're not on Emerald Plains or Outback or even Canal because you barely play them. You play like a silver gold player. So at least if you don't have the choice and you're forced into a map, then you are more likely to become broadened in terms of skill, in terms of map knowledge, game sense, and just overall potential. I think is just much better because you have no out, short of dodging, which, if you don't know what that is, basically quitting out before the game starts because you don't want to deal with that map and you don't mind taking an abandon, which, if you do that, then you need to go outside, my friend. So a couple of other ideas I've heard is, what if you were shown 3 maps like you are now, and instead of picking the one you want to ban and not play, why don't you pick the one you do want to play? Because one, you might be more likely to get people to ban because because I feel like there's a lot of people that don't even pay attention to the map ban phase. I feel like a lot of people are just on their phones, so 1 or 2 people votes and then that's what happens, and it's always the same stuff. So maybe if you have that idea of picking what you do want to play, you'll have more people actually voting and potentially give you more accurate data, but also you just put a positive spin on it, and I think that's something that we probably do need in Siege. I don't mind this idea. I don't think it would work as well as what some people who have mentioned it to me think. But there's 3 other ideas that I like the sound of, and I think you could maybe incorporate one into one of the other ones. The other one is add more options to the map ban phase. So keep it the map ban as it is now, but instead of 3, have 5. 4 or 5. And you ban the one you want, and then RNG gives you what's left. It will automatically pick one that is, hasn't been banned out, and you've got, say, 2 or 3 for the game to pick, and you get given one, and that's the one you play. I think that still might be an issue for dodgers, but I feel like that's going to be a thing either way. But I like this idea. I think it's a good step in the right direction. There's a couple of other ideas that I've got written down here that people have mentioned to me, which I like the sound of, and I think you could incorporate all 3 of them, actually, because I like the idea of having more bans available, so it's not just, ban 1, ban 2, you've got this. Because you can kind of manipulate it in a way that gets the one you want. So having more maps, I'd like the idea of seeing 5 maps. You ban the one you don't want to do, and then RNG deals the one you get to play. I really like that idea. Somebody else mentioned to me about a preferred maps system. So I can't remember what game they referenced, but apparently another game they play, you go into your settings, there is basically you can pick a map that you prefer or a map that you don't like. And the matchmaking system will incorporate these choices amongst people playing, and if there is like a common denominator, you're more likely to get this map, or less likely if it's a non-preferred map. Excuse me. I like the idea of this. I think it'd be a very awkward thing to have coded. I mean, I don't know that much about coding, but just in terms of like a matchmaking system that can already be a bit funky, having to consolidate different players' preferences in terms of map choice to then affect the RNG base of what map you're shown feels like it might be a bit complicated. If it's not, then cool, fair enough, implement it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I will say that on this idea of preferences, I don't know if it's true or not, but I have heard that some maps have a potential for a higher chance of selection, so a higher percentage appearance rate during the ban phase, which some days it certainly feels like that. I refuse to believe it. I don't think that's true, but I have heard rumors that is a thing, and I really hope it's not, because then that is kind of shitty. But if you are going to have any system that works like that, please make it so the new maps are more likely to show up regardless of whatever system you have. I also don't personally think that new stuff should be bannable. I think that'd be an interesting thing, is make it so that if it is in the situation we're in now, where it's, I guess it would make it redundant, you'd have to have multiple choices, but make it so that if you had 5 choices, you can ban them all, but if Emerald Plains shows up, you can't ban that one. So then you're only restricted to 4 that you can ban, and then you have a chance of still playing Emerald Plains, because there's no point investing in making new content if people are going to refuse to play it. I know there's the casual player base that will get hit with it at some point, but let's be honest, they're not the best denominator as to whether something is good or bad. And for people like myself who don't really play quick play because I think it's boring, I want to experience the new content, and I don't think I should be singled out. Not just me personally, but I know there are a lot of people that only play ranked. I don't think those people who do want to play the new stuff should be singled out because the other people just ban it, and it's ridiculous. So, just to recap, give us 4 or 5 choices in the map ban phase. If it works and is easy to do, give us a preference system for maps to either show up slightly more often or slightly less often, depending on whether it's a favorable or an unfavorable preference. The other thing that I thought of when I was discussing it with somebody was, if you have, take for example, you have the 5 map ban idea. Let's say you have Oregon, Clubhouse, Bank, Emerald Plains, but then the 5th one is a question mark. It's completely random. You don't even get to see what it is. I kind of like this idea because I still think it allows for a certain amount of RNG for the map rotations and forced playability. And I'm sure there are some people that are like, oh, well, I don't want to be forced to play a map. Tough shit. We are forced to go through metas that we don't enjoy. We are forced to sit through 5-minute queue times that most of us don't enjoy. You know, we are forced to go through a gameplay experience, which personally I don't have anything against, but because of the no respawning and then the post-death gameplay being something that a lot of people don't care about, i.e. droning, watching cams, giving call-outs, stuff like that. Most people, they die, they get on their phone, they go flick on YouTube, they change whatever song they're listening to. No, it's their time where they're just like, oh, well, okay, until the next round, whatever. So, just because of that, I think a lot of people switch off, and it just kind of, to me, it makes it redundant for people's opinions on whether something is good or bad if they are refusing to experience half of it. So I don't think that should ever be taken into consideration. So yeah, I'd like to see, in my ideal world, or at least give it to us on like a test server. Let us test it and try and see how it plays, because I personally think it would be a lot more fun, even if they don't have the hidden map idea. But have it so it's 5 choices. You can ban which ones you really don't want to play. So for example, if these top 5 maps shown up, I mean, I hate Consulate, so I'm going to want to ban Consulate. If I can get my friends on my team to ban Consulate, and then let's say the other team don't want to play Bank. They play Bank, and then we have Oregon Clubhouse or Emerald Plains to play. Sure. Make it so I can pick the one I genuinely don't like or genuinely don't want to play, which I think would then also give the devs even more accurate data as to stuff that, if there are consistent bans, then that is the stuff you don't want to be, that's the stuff you want to tweak. That's the stuff you want to rework or find out why people don't like X, Y, and Z on this map. Personally, I think that's a much better idea. Again, if it's easy enough to do and doesn't mess with anything too heavily, have a preference system. So make it so because I don't like Consulate, I can make it so that Consulate shows up 10% less often for me. Or, or at least if, say, 2 or 3 people in my team have the same thing, then that preference can take measure. And then, just, we are so fine-tuned to trying to get what we want in Siege, and I think a certain amount of it has to stop. So, and whether it's meant to or not, the map ban phase kind of plays into it. If Clubhouse, Consulate, and Bank shows up, the likeliness of Consulate being banned specifically by my team, and then the other team, maybe they don't like Bank despite its slight buffs that it got not too long ago. I don't think Bank's that bad of a map personally, but say our team bans this because fuck it, they ban that one, we're gonna get Clubhouse. Then the next game we get Consulate, Clubhouse, Cafe. Well, the same thing is going to happen again. I mean, maybe not so much with Cafe. Cafe gets played a fair amount, but okay, Consulate, Favela, Clubhouse. I want to ban Consulate because I fucking hate Consulate. The other team doesn't know Favela, so they don't want to play Favela. So even though I could do the whole, we've got Favela thing, and then, they're like, okay, cool, we'll ban Clubhouse or Consulate. And then we ban whatever's the other one, so we get Favela. It's so much effort, and as much as I like outsmarting people in Siege, it shouldn't have to be done in the ban phase, in the map ban phase. It's ridiculous. And also, I think it would change metas more than people think, because at the minute, you've got like the 86% Thatcher ban, and then, like a Jackal ban or something. Maybe if you're forced to play some of these other maps, people might not mind playing Thatcher or Jackal a bit more for a while, because suddenly the attacking feels a little bit less on the back foot, because obviously a new map typically is defender favored at first because they just have to play time. So maybe having Thatcher to make it easier to open walls is better to have. Maybe having Jackal just to roam clear and learn the map a bit easier suddenly becomes more, profitable and worth bringing. So yeah, that's my rant over. I think I've said what I needed to say. I'd like to hear back from you guys. Are you on the same wavelength of me? Do you like to ban the new maps? If so, please tell me why, and don't tell me it's because you don't know it, because it doesn't take long to jump into a custom game and wander around the map a bit. Also, that should be half the fun. Exploring and taking the stuff we already know from Siege and other maps and going, oh shit, I can do this on this map as well. This is cool. Maybe I'm ahead of the curve and people don't know about this yet. And then doing that. But who knows? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. As is the title, what would you do about the map ban phase? I would like to see it expanded and fine-tuned, because at the minute I don't think it works as intended. So thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe and like if you enjoy the content. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Tell me, I genuinely want to know your guys' input I want to have a discussion about it, as long as everyone's polite and not ranting too much. But let me know what you think, and as always, thanks for watching. Take it easy.